Well, good afternoon, my friends. This is Blazers Game Day. I am your host, Chad Doing, and we've got the Blazers on the second of a back-to-back. They're in Toronto getting ready for a game today against the Raptors. Tip-off is coming up at 4:30. I will be with you along with Chris Burkhardt all the way up until 3:30 as we get ready for the Blazers, who are on this little mini three-game East Coast trip where they have stops in Toronto today. They'll be in Detroit Wednesday before they come back home and get ready to face the Grizzlies in back-to-back games at Moda Center on Friday and on Sunday. And right now, based on what I can tell, engage on social media, Trailblazer fans are freaking out just a little bit right now. 0-3 to start the year, coming off another beat-down loss, this time at the hands of the Philadelphia 76ers yesterday in Philly, 126-98. But I think the biggest concern right now is Scoot Henderson, not shooting the ball well from the floor or from three. He's been in early foul trouble the last 3 games. We're seeing a lot of turnovers, a lot of mistakes, and maybe just not what a lot of fans had expected. Now, I tried my best to prepare a lot of you for what you were going to see this year. This is a full rebuild by the franchise. And again, I say this not because I'm trying to make excuses for anyone. I'm just trying to prepare you for what it is. It's a full rebuild where you have a lot of youth. You have some veterans on the roster that may not be here long term, and the franchise in a focus mode to acquire assets and talent as they continue to restructure. The roster that you see today is not going to be the roster you see possibly past the deadline and definitely in the summer. This team is on a mission to rebuild. They stripped it down to the studs, go about the process of rebuilding it. And that's unfortunately something that takes time. And I understand why people are frustrated, especially season ticket holders who have spent big money the last couple of years to see the team tank. And now, after 2 years of tanking, you're going to get a full rebuild where the team naturally is just going to find themselves back in the lottery because they're not going to win a lot of games. I think the other frustrating part is the hype and the excitement surrounding Scoot. And then you've got 3 games out of the gate that are duds. It's okay. It's all part of the process. And the most important thing right now for the coaching staff is to teach and to coach and to make sure that Scoot and Shaden continue to develop. And hopefully for Scoot, we'll start to see some flashes of brilliance in the very near future. What I think I'm seeing right now from Scoot is a young player at 19 who's getting his first taste of the NBA, and everything is just moving too fast for him. Everything. His processing is overwhelmed right now. The players that he's on the floor against, that he's facing night in and night out, move a lot faster than what he's accustomed to in the G League. And I'm not just talking about the guards. I'm talking about the centers and the forwards. The guys in the NBA are incredible athletes, and the bigs in the NBA move faster than the guards he was facing in the G League. And I think what's going to happen over the next week or a couple of weeks or a few weeks down the road, this whole learning curve, his ability, his mind, his assessment of what he's seeing out there on the floor, everything will adjust. And all of a sudden, he'll get a better feel for the passing lanes. He'll get a better feel for his teammates, and things will come together. And I think also this team suffers from a lack of continuity. Only 4 players on the roster today that were on the roster to begin last year. You have guys who haven't played together. You have guys who don't understand one another. And you've got the youngest roster in the NBA. So when you combine all of that together in one bowl, you have kind of a mess. And that's okay because the franchise has chosen a path. That's the most important thing. It might be painful at the moment, but they chose a path. The worst thing they could have done is this nonsense of talking about building around Dame and trying to create a winner to move forward in the playoffs, and yet at the same time not making any moves at the deadline other than to get rid of veterans and bring in young assets. You cannot operate trying to do 2 things at the same time. You have to choose a path. You've got to pick a direction, and they did. And I'm not here to tell you right now whether it was the right direction or not. I'm just saying they chose a path, and you've got to applaud that because now they know exactly what their goals are. Acquiring talent, acquiring young assets, and developing the young players. And then hopefully 2 years, 3 years down the road, they're in a position with the reshaped roster and more talent to be able to go out there and make some noise. Just take a look at Oklahoma City. That's the pathway they're on. They got more flexibility than they've had in years. Their salary cap is a little more in order. They're going to be in a position to do some very cool things moving into the future, but right now it's about developing these youngsters. Now, one of the players, look, I don't know how long Malcolm Brogdon is going to be on the Trailblazer roster. I don't know how long he's going to be here. I don't know if they're going to keep him for the season. I don't know if they're going to look to move him before the deadline. I have a tendency to believe that he'll get moved before the deadline because he's going to be a valuable piece valued by contenders around the NBA. But I'll say this, for the time being and as long as he's here, he's going to make his presence felt. I like his demeanor. I like the way he is calm and understanding about the NBA, and I think his perspective is proper. He's got experience, and you can see on the court right now when he's operating the offense, it goes a lot better. Smooth. That's because he's experienced. Sixth Man of the Year award winner. But take a listen to Brogdon after the game last night, the loss to Philly, talking about growth and expectations and kind of how this whole process is going to play out. I love the perspective of Malcolm Brogdon. Take a listen.
Look, we all want to win. I think I want to win as much or more than anybody. Chauncey wants to win. He's a champion, but you got to understand the situation you're in. You got to understand the youth of your group and the inexperience. And you got to be realistic about where you are and what progress looks like for you. And progress might not be coming to Philly and beating a team that made it to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. But progress is cleaning up a lot of the mistakes that we made last game and doing it right this game. And right now we got to take the incremental steps and incremental progress. And I think we're doing that. I think we're improving.
Bingo. Well said. That's Malcolm Brogdon of your Portland Trailblazers right there. That's what I'm looking for right now. Incremental progress. That could come from the entire team as a unit, adjusting and having a better understanding of what they're supposed to be doing on both ends of the floor. That could come from seeing a youngster like Tamani Kamara fighting over screens and providing hustle and effort and being solid defensively. It could be that. It could be Scoot Henderson showing flashes of brilliance. It might be Shaedon Sharpe continuing to shoulder the load and handle the pressure he's going to face defensively and lead the team in scoring, as we've seen the last couple of games. You've got to look around for the positives right now. It's not in wins and losses. It's in incremental progress. Now, I look, Scoot Henderson, for example, I don't know what he's going to become, but I do know that 3 games is not a sample size. And in regards to his shooting, that's not a strong point. We knew coming in that he was not going to be a great shooter, at least not right out of the gate. He's going to be a slow developer in that department. Now, his job right now is to get up to speed, dealing with the pressure, dealing with the type of athlete he's facing right now, and then eventually understanding the passing windows and getting better at dishing the ball and setting up his teammates. And if he can do that over the course of time, we're going to see some progress. And that's what we need. And speaking of Kamara, I had a gentleman reach out to me who I respect a great deal, his basketball knowledge, and he said, dude, I just got finished watching the game, and Tamani Kamara reminds me of Jerome Kersey in terms of all the little things that he does. And Billups was asked about Kamara's performance yesterday. Take a listen.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about him. That's just kind of what he does. It's who he is. I mean, he's just he's a gritty player that is he's never going to stop playing hard. And it doesn't matter the score, the opponent, who he's playing against, what time of the game, he's going to scrap, and that's what our guys love about him. That's what our staff, we love about him. And that's how he's going to make his name in this league and in the NBA. And because of that, he's going to find himself having a really, really fine career.
Yeah, and like I mentioned yesterday, and I've said this before, what's great about Tamani, there are certain players on teams where, and it usually starts in practice, where these guys work so hard and bust their rump, and they get out there and show the type of effort and performance on both ends of the floor. They do every little thing that the coaches are asking them to do. And by doing so day after day after day in practice, when they get times to play, they cash in their opportunities on the floor. They just put pressure on the coaching staff to find ways to get them into games. And I think Tamani Kamara is one of those players. And the beauty of this team right now, if you're someone like Tamani, young team looking to grow, and they're looking for guys who can fight and scrap and show that type of effort. If you're young and you play with a lot of effort and you scrap and you do what the coaches ask and you can make a difference, especially on defense, you're going to get an opportunity to play. So there you go. Now, it's not just Scoot, but take a look around. Right now, the Blazers, just think about what they're facing. One, their best player is not on the floor right now. Anthony Simons, who's out 4 to 6 weeks due to the thumb injury and subsequent surgery. DeAndre Ayton, who is brand new, learning his way through the team. It's going to take him some time to get up to speed. Jeremy Grant is not off to a great start. All of these changes and the new faces and the way that they've stripped it down to the studs and they're laying a foundation, it's going to have an impact on everyone. And it's going to take some time. Malcolm Brogdon has been, I think, the best Blazer so far. I like the way Shaedon Sharpe has played. Him being here last year and getting that opportunity to play at the end of last year, proving to be very helpful in terms of what he's been able to do right now. He's got a lot of work to do, too, on both ends. But I'll say this about Scoot and some of the other guys on the team remaining engaged, continuing to give a good effort, and they played hard, and especially the second unit there in the second half, made a pretty good run. You want these guys to remain engaged, to stay aggressive, and continue to do what they do. And that's where we're at. And I wouldn't expect it to get much better today. It's going to be a difficult matchup against the Raptors, especially with their wings, their length, and their aggressiveness. That's going to be a tough matchup for Portland today. But I'm not going to gauge this squad by wins and losses. Like I mentioned, the most important thing I'm watching is the coaching staff. I want to know if Chauncey Billups is the right coach. Can he get them to play the way he wants them to play? What about the development of Scoot and Shaden? Are we seeing an understanding of what they're trying to accomplish on both ends of the floor? So, I know a lot of people are done with Chauncey already. I just know that this year's a better opportunity to evaluate some of the things that he's doing. So I want to be able to sit back and watch and see what type of growth we're seeing. And that could come game to game, day to day, week to week, month to month. I want to see progress in all these different areas and gain a better understanding of what they're trying to accomplish. The word on Chauncey in his career, his tenure so far in Portland, is the most common word you hear around the league describing his coaching style is disorganized. That's not good. So let's see him, really start to get control of this team and take these youngsters and shape them and mold them. They're lumps of clay. Lumps of clay, you got a chance to shape them into whatever type of players you want them to be. That's a great opportunity and exciting for a coaching staff to have that, to be able to work with youngsters and get them to do what you want them to do. So that's where I'm at with that. All right, it's game day. Chad Doing here, Chris Burkhardt. Tip-offs coming up at 4:30, Blazers and Raptors from Toronto. When we come back, we'll step into what's the Scoot, and we'll focus in on Scoot Henderson. We will hear from Chauncey Billups. We'll hear more from Malcolm Brogdon and also Jabari Walker. All right, you want to hit me up on X? You can do so at Chad and Rib City. If you want to jump on board and talk, 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. Tip-off is coming up at 4:30, Blazers and Raptors on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rib City Radio.
Hey there, test, test, test. How we doing in this fancy commercial break here? Look, the radio is on commercial break, but I'm over here talking to Brendan because I can talk to Brendan. Hey! Fun. Fancy. Yeah. So, hi YouTube. Showing Brendan how to operate this bad boy. We'll be back in a second.
is brought to you by Office Furniture Reborn. Need desks, better office chairs, or just the right file cabinet? Office Furniture Reborn has a huge selection of colors.
Um, Surprised by a slow start for a rookie coming into the NBA playing point guard, coming out of the G League. So, what's going on? Why are you so worried about Scoot Henderson through 3 games? It's not a sample size. You cannot tell me what Scoot Henderson is going to become after 3 games. And I'll tell you this, I don't know what he's going to become. Even if he's a bust, let's say 2 years down the road, it turns out that Scoot Henderson was all hype, no substance, and he turns out to be a bust. You've got to play him and continue to start him to let him learn on the job and get up to speed. I do not like the idea of bringing him off the bench and having him play with the second unit. I think the best way to treat an athlete like Scoot at his level is to play him, to let him start and let him grow and realize that this is going to be a bumpy process. I would expect a couple of weeks down the road, 3 weeks down the road, we'll start to see some flashes, but he's learning a lot. And I'm not even making excuses for him. I'm just trying to be very level-headed in my approach with Scoot Henderson. The shooting numbers are poor, but we knew coming out of the G League he was not a good shooter. That's something that's going to take time. I think what's surprising is the limited minutes that he's played, the lack of assists, the turnovers, but I think this is explainable. And this all goes back to not just Scoot, but everything else around him. So let's walk through this with Scoot Henderson right now. Okay, first off, the biggest issue that he's having over the last 3 games is getting into early foul trouble. He had 3 fouls before the half again yesterday. The problem is, for all rookies, NBA officials do not respect rookies. They don't give them the benefit of the doubt, and therefore you're going to get called for a lot of fouls. Ticky-tack, bad calls, whatever. They're just going to happen. So Scoot is going through a learning process of adjusting and understanding how the game is called on the NBA level and figuring that part out. And that's going to be tough for him. When you get into early foul trouble, you come out of the game, it takes you out of rhythm, and you don't get to play as many minutes. I think he had 25 in that game yesterday against Philadelphia, 26 minutes. So that's part of the issue. So he's got to learn to avoid that. I think the other issue comes from what I mentioned before with the continuity or lack thereof with this team. He's never played with any of these guys. And one of the guys that was one of your key cogs, your best player, Anthony Simons, in camp, is now out of the lineup. So that thrusts in another youngster in Shaden Sharp. Now, it's cool, and I'm glad that they're doing this instead of going with Brogdon because you're getting the youngsters out there to play together, to learn about each other, and to ramp up that whole learning curve, the process. So I'm totally down with what the coaching staff is doing by rolling with the youngsters. You're not going anywhere this year anyways. Might as well get the youngsters out there and let them develop. That's a good thing. So you have a bunch of guys on the floor that don't know each other. They're still learning what the coaching staff wants them to do on both ends of the floor. And then the lack of continuity combined with this, and this is critical, it's the speed of the game. Right now, the game is not slowing down in Scoot Henderson's dome. So everything is going at a very rapid rate. He sees things that he thinks are open, but they close quickly because the athletes are moving at a different speed than what he's accustomed to. And he's playing on the floor against other starters who are elite level at their positions. And he's adjusting to that. Again, like I said, in the G League, he's not seeing guys like this. On the NBA level, the 4s and the 5s move as quick as the guards in the G League. He hadn't seen anything like this. So it's understandable that we would see some of the issues that we've seen through the first 3 games. So there you go. you just got to understand that this is going to take a little bit of time. Now, someone asked me yesterday, well, how long? I don't know. A month? 2 months? It might take 4 months. I would expect what we're going to see is steady progress with Scoot as the season progresses. Now, if he's playing the same way at the beginning of April that he is right now, I would be alarmed. But you cannot tell me what a player is after 3 games. That's total nonsense. It's crazy talk. Let's just let it breathe a little bit and get a larger sample size to see what type of things he needs to continue to work on. What I do like about Scoot, one, very confident young man. Very confident. Like, that guy rolls around. He's not doubting himself. I also like the way he's remained engaged and doesn't appear to be down. And I think that's important, too. He's listening to the coaches, listening to the other guys on the squad, and he's just pushing forward, trying to learn. And that's good. It's okay. So I'm not panicked. I'm not worried. 3 games. I expect steady progress from Scoot, and we'll see how this continues to play out. And, yeah, the shooting numbers, like, I don't expect the shooting to happen overnight. This is something that's going to take a while for the shooting aspect of it. He's got to continue to work on his pull-up jumper, his step-back 3. His catch and shoot is a lot more comfortable. But the shooting numbers, that's just going to take a lot of time, individual work in the gym and in practice to get up to the level that he wants. I think he was talking about somewhere, like if he could become a 38% three-point shooter, that'd be fabulous. Is that possible? I don't know. But the numbers have got to improve. He was not a good shooter in the G League. It was my main concern about him because I want to see if long-term he can develop into a better shooter. But I think what we'll see in terms of progress, what will start to come is once the game slows down a little bit and things aren't spinning in his dome, we'll see him start to understand the passing lanes, get more of his teammates involved. And then as he makes this adjustment to the wacky NBA officiating, he'll stay out of early foul trouble, which will allow him to stay on the floor and get more minutes. And there you go. Bingo, bango, bongo. He can start to make some strides. But seriously, like, can you really tell me what a player is after 3 games in the NBA? Is that even possible? Can you do it? I don't think so. And again, it's a small sample. It's some fans on social media who are freaking out, but a lot of you understand, hey, it's a rookie. It's 19. It takes time. So I'm not worried about Scoot. I don't even know what I expected from Scoot through the first 3 games. I really didn't know what to think. I don't watch a lot of G League basketball, and I'm guessing that a lot of you don't watch a lot of G League basketball. So I didn't really know what to expect from Scoot early on. But I do know that a brand new roster with a very young roster and a bunch of guys that haven't played together, you could expect them not to go out there and kill it right away. So, but I'd keep playing him, keep starting Scoot, keep playing him. And I'm glad that they're going with Scoot and Shaden while Anthony is out of the lineup. And we'll see how things continue to develop. Yesterday in the game against Philadelphia, not a lot of great offense. They shot just 38%. Once again, another poor shooting night from 3. This is going to be a recurring theme throughout the season, I fear. Just 7 of 31 from downtown, 16 turnovers. That's an issue with the young team. They only got 2 points in 10 minutes from Matisse Thybulle. Jeremy Grant, 5 of 16 from the floor, just 104 from 3, 17 points and 5 rebounds. DeAndre Ayton still struggling as he finds his way through, 7 points, 9 boards in 20 minutes. Shaden Sharp led the team in scoring with 20 on 7 of 13 shooting. Scoot Henderson, 4 points and 4 turnovers in 26 minutes. 0 of 4 from 3, 2 of 7 from the field. And Malcolm Brogdon, 18 points off the bench. They also got a very productive 27 minutes from Tamani Kamara. Love his energy. Like I mentioned before, a friend reached out and said it reminds him of Jerome Kersey. And Jabari Walker continuing to play with effort. Walker and Kamara are a coach's dream because they just play with their pants on fire. They work their balls off out there, which is nice. But the offense is going to take a decline, and probably a steep decline this year because they don't have guys that can knock down shots, especially from downtown. All right, let's check in with Chauncey Billups following the 126-98 loss to Philadelphia.
We played at the level of intensity that we needed to. At least we didn't get off to the greatest start, but when the second unit came in, they changed the game for us in the second half. And all of those guys were just excellent. They really were. Jabari had some big minutes. Tumani, obviously Malcolm too, Rob. I mean, they were just really good. And they just fought, and got us back in it. And come to halftime, I thought we kind of lost a little bit of traction, obviously, at the end of the first half. And B got after that technical that he got very aggressive. And, he was scoring and getting fouled before we even got a double team over there to him. But we really got hurt, I thought, on that stretch on the offensive glass. We gave up a couple offensive rebounds, and they ended up getting fouled. Now they slow the game down, and they get free throws. So we lost a little bit of traction there. And then second half, not much at all went well for us.
You had mentioned after the last game that, that playing well, but then they might have a stretch of like 2 or 3 minutes where they lose it. And it seemed like in the end of the first half tonight, kind of the same idea, that things seemed to be going well until about 2 or 3 minutes left there.
Yeah, and look, our defense, we play pretty good. I mean, you run into a guy like Embiid, who was the MVP of the league last year, and he has a night, going, and then you have other guys get going. Tobias got going. Maxey, we talked about him before the game. They all kind of really got going, but it was all off of Joel's activity and his aggressiveness. And then we've struggled to score. We just have. We've struggled to kind of make shots. So when those things add up at the same time, it makes it tough.
Obviously, Blazers fans love guys that give extra effort. It seemed as though Tumani was a part of like this span there where he was part of every play.
Yeah.
What did you like about what you saw from him tonight?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about him. That's just kind of what he does. It's who he is. I mean, he's just he's a gritty player that he's never going to stop playing hard. And it doesn't matter the score, the opponent, who he's playing against, what time of the game, he's going to scrap. And that's what our guys love about him. That's what our staff, we love about him. And that's how he's going to make his name in this league and in the NBA. And because of that, he's going to find himself having a really, really fine career.
Kind of the same idea with Jabari tonight. I thought that he really looked good tonight. I think 4 steals. He was the only guy that had a positive plus-minus. I feel like he really gave you something.
And we can. This is like a broke clock with Bari too. Bari is always out there scrapping. He's competing. And it's just like when those two dudes are out there, it's a noticeable difference for us in our competition level and in our 50-50 balls. And those moments they pick up for us. And my challenge is we got to get our starters to play as hard as those guys do. Not to say that our starters aren't playing hard, but that's a different level of hard. And for us, that's how we have to be.
What do you attribute that to? Because I mean, they're both young players, so I think that's part of it. In some respects, they're maybe competing against each other a little bit for minutes, or at least trying to earn those minutes.
Yeah.
What would you kind of put that level at? Because it seems like they are bringing a little something more right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're young, and they're trying to find their way in the league. Obviously our starters are set and settled and have been in the league for a while, and they have their reputations. I think when you're a young player in the league, you gotta hang your hat on something and try to do it better than anybody else. I've always thought that, like, if you're one of those young guys on the team, what are you going to do that nobody else is doing? And then put pressure on the head coach to do something to make sure he has to keep you on the floor. That's a young player's job. And I think Jabari and Tumani are doing an excellent job of that. Every time they get a chance, they make it count.
During that span in the second quarter where everything was kind of going your guys' way, it was defense leading to offense. Is that kind of the style of play that you'd like to see more consistently? Is that what you envision this team doing?
Yeah, in particular right now, we have to. With our best player, Ant, being out, that's 25 points a game, and 6 or 7, 8 assists. So we have to do it collectively right now and try to turn whether second chance points, offensive rebounds into points, or turnovers into points. We got to find those are the best ways to score kind of easy because scoring is not coming very easy to us right now as we're getting to know each other, and that's just kind of what we have to do.
There's Coach Billups following the loss to the Philadelphia 76ers. I love what he said about Tamani and his work. And you can hear him mention some of the challenges they're faced with right now, especially on offense, as they continue to work through some of the issues. No Ant. They're still learning one another, playing a lot of youngsters right now. It's good. It's good. I'm going to sit back and enjoy watching the development of the young players. And I hope that Chauncey Billups and his staff is the right crew to get it done. That's all. That's all. I just want to see incremental growth. I'm not asking for much. I came in with proper expectations for the year. This team is headed straight back to the lottery, but that's okay because the most important thing right now, aside from the development of Scoot and Shaden, is acquisition of young assets, young players, so they can eventually put themselves in a position to have a balanced roster with the players they want to go out there and make a run. But in a rebuild, that doesn't happen overnight. I know no one wants to hear that. People are just bitter. They're upset. Some people are still upset about Dame. Some people are upset about the tanking. Everyone's got a reason to be upset. I understand it. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you what Scoot is after 3 games. I'm not crazy. You can't be crazy. What do you expect? And not only that, but can anyone tell me what a legitimate time frame is to be able to make bold judgments on a rookie? Is it 3 games? Is it 10 games? Is it half the season? Or does it vary for every player? Keep in mind with Dame. Dame was awesome right out of the gate, but he also had 4 years of play at college. He came in older, had more experience. I would imagine there's an advantage there. That'd be my guess. So let's just take this step by step. Let's see what they do against Toronto tonight. And when you're watching a game, look for those incremental changes, the growth. Like yesterday, Tamani Kamara out there fighting over screens and hustling his tail off. Or Jabari Walker playing with nothing but pure energy. Things like that. That's what we're looking for. And you can also look from a team concept in terms of what they're trying to do on offense and some of their actions, maybe their defense and the communication. And that's the way you got to look at it. Well, I mean, you can look at it however you want. You want to sit around and freak out about Scoop, feel free. I'm just trying. Do you understand what I'm trying to do here? I'm trying to help some of you who are freaking out to adjust to understand what you're going to see this year. And just because they get beat by 28 points in Philly, that doesn't mean squat. Who cares? What about the development and the incremental growth of the youngsters? That's all. And I'm not saying this because I have to say anything. I'm not controlled by the Trailblazers. Jody Allen does not text me and tell me what to say on the radio. Burt Cole does not send me memos. None of that. I say exactly what I think. I'm not worried about Scoot. I'm not worried about Scoot. I'm not worried about the first 3 games. I'm more concerned about whether or not Chauncey's the right man for the job than I am about Scoot. Scoot's going to be fine. Scoot's a very confident young man. Scoot's going to get a lot more playing time. He'll be able to figure this out. Very happy with Shaden Sharp, too, by the way. Shaden Sharp out there playing with purpose, getting to his spots, looking comfortable on the floor without Anthony. Maybe he didn't like all the attention Scoot was getting, so it's motivated him, whatever the deal may be. I like what I'm seeing from Shaden right now. I like his athleticism. Shaden in the open floor, and a lot of you know this, freak! What it must feel like to be young and to have that type of athleticism, the hops. I like the way he operates because when he's out there, he's just moving at his own pace. It's quick, but he's under control, and he's explosive, and he's got a good feel on the offensive end. And I want to see these youngsters continue to get after it defensively too. It's one thing to be a good offensive player in the league, become a two-way player and someone that people notice because you get it done on both ends. Don't be that guy that can score, but teams target you on the defensive end because you can't get after it defensively. And they know you're a weakness. You don't want to be that guy either. All right, we'll keep things rolling here on Game Day. You can jump on board 503-248-0620. Hope you're enjoying the sunshine. Tip-off's coming up at 4:30. They'll be in Toronto against the Raptors today. And they finish up the 3-game road trip Wednesday in Detroit. That game will tip off at 4 o'clock. And it, of course, is right here on your home of the Blazers, 620 Rip City Radio.
It's time for a Blazers Game Day scoreboard report, powered by Columbia Heating and Cooling, raising your expectations of comfort.
All right, let's take a look at the night in the association. And I'll give you the point spreads in case you're looking to get in on some of the action. Coming up at 4 o'clock, the Nets are in Charlotte to meet the Hornets. Brooklyn is a 1-point favorite. LaMelo Ball averaging 17.7 boards and 9 assists per game. At 4 o'clock in Indiana, Bulls and Pacers. Indiana favored by 3.5. DeMar DeRozan pouring in 24 points per game. Tyrese Halliburton, 20 points and 12 assists. 4 o'clock in Washington, Celtics and Wizards. Boston a 10.5-point favorite. Jason Tatum, 28 points, 9 boards, and 4 assists per game. Kyle Kuzma filling it up with 23 points per game. 4:30 in Atlanta, Timberwolves and Hawks. Minnesota favored by 2. And at 4:30 in Toronto, your Trailblazers and Raptors. Toronto favored by 9. Scotty Barnes averaging 21 points, 8 boards, and 6 assists. Malcolm Brogdon averaging 18 points a game for your Portland Trailblazers. 5 o'clock in Memphis, Mavericks and Grizzlies. Dallas favored by 1.5. Luka averaging 41 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists early in the season. Desmond Bane at 24 points per game. 5 o'clock in Milwaukee, Heat and Bucks. Milwaukee favored by 6.5. Giannis, 24 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists. Bam, 22 points and 6 rebounds. At 5 o'clock on NBA TV, the Warriors are in New Orleans to meet the Pelicans. New Orleans favored by 4.5. Steph Curry averaging 30 points per game. Brandon Ingram, 22, 7, and 4. 5 o'clock in Oklahoma City, Pistons and Thunder. OKC favored by 6. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 24 points, 6 boards, and 7 assists per game. In Denver tonight, the Jazz and Nuggets. Denver favored by 8.5. They're 3-0 out of the gate. Jokic averaging 26 points, 13 boards, and 7 assists. Lauri Markkanen, 24 points and 8 rebounds per game. And it's 7:30, the nightcapper on NBA TV. The Magic are in Los Angeles to take on the Lakers. LA favored by 3, coming off an overtime loss last night in Sacramento. Anthony Davis averaging 25 points, 12 boards, and 2 assists per game. In fact, last night, some good action. The Nuggets really impressing me with the way they're playing so far. With purpose, like a team that feels disrespected. They crushed the Thunder. Jokic with 28 points and 14 boards. Steph Curry put Dylan Brooks on the spin cycle. The Warriors got the win over the Rockets, 106-95. Steph had 24 points, 7 boards, 6 assists. Hawks topped the Bucks in Milwaukee by 17. Trae Young, 20 points and 11 assists. The Clippers routed the Spurs 123-83 in Los Angeles. 5 steals and 19 points for Paul George. And that overtime thriller in Sacramento, the Kings over the Lakers, 132-127. Big night for Anthony Davis, 30 points, 16 boards, and 3 blocks. And De'Aaron Fox, one of my favorite younger players in the NBA, 37 points and 8 assists. So, there's a lot of good storylines to follow early in the season. Going back to the Nuggets, Burkhardt had mentioned this yesterday. I think it could be that Michael Malone, he's really good at motivating his players. It's quite possible that they feel disrespected because when everyone's asked about who's going to win the West, no one really likes to throw Denver into the mix. The Lakers. What about the Warriors? Maybe it's the Suns. And you've got the Nuggets sitting there at 3-0 and playing very good basketball. And you talk about the Blazers with all these new faces and no continuity. The Nuggets, when you watch them play, that's a team that understands what they're trying to do. They have continuity, and they've got the best player on the planet, arguably, in Jokic, who is running things. They look terrific. Blazers and Raptors coming up tonight at 4:30. Let's welcome in my partner, Chris Burkhardt, who is here. A man of many hats, teaching here in the studio.
Hey!
What's going on, brother?
Back here, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, making it real hard to work. They won't stop talking.
They're excited about YouTube.
That's okay. I love these guys. I was just playing.
And we are streaming
Brendan's
right now.
like, look at me. I'm on. Look at me, Mom. I'm on camera. See? Cut. Look, there he is. He's dancing. He knows what's up. He's ready to go, man. These guys are ready. I hear next week we're going to get the morning show up and running. So YouTube's going to be on fire.
That's right. We are live streaming right now at Gameday. So you can go to youtube.com, pull up our homepage, Rip City Radio 620, and you can join us in studio and be a part of the live chat. Also, 5th quarter following the game tonight, and starting next Monday, Rip City mornings from 6 to 9, Rip City Drive from 3 until 6. All live and local shows will be streaming on YouTube as well.
I have all the power here. So I am probably, without prior authorization, I'm just going to fire up my camera at home. Maybe Burkhardt will just be live on the Rip City Radio YouTube page from noon to 3 one day, and you won't even know.
You can do whatever you want. I'm just thinking about changing my wardrobe. I'm thinking I need to show a little more skin, for the YouTube audience. I'm going to spice things up here in the studio, I'm afraid.
We're going to get a lot of callers in already, like Ralph, like, hey, a Burkhardt guy needs to cut his hair.
I told you that someone saw you on YouTube the other night. They're like, whoa, Burkhardt. I was expecting a bald man, and I got hair.
I am the opposite of bald man. Told my wife the other day, I was like, you need to take the straightener to my hair. It'd probably go down to the bottom of my back. Go to the low back. It's
all
long.
Right. So you've had about 24 hours to digest What is your takeaway from Blazer fans who are freaking out about Scoot Henderson and the lack of production through 3 games? How can you know what a player is going to be after 3 games?
Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, you're not like you can't get over your skis either way. Like if he came out and scored 30 every single game, doesn't mean he's the second coming. Like it's nice, right? But these guys are going to take their lumps. Like Justin and Brendan said it this morning. Shout out to the guy standing to my left. But like they were talking about, if he's still struggling to find buckets and make these passes on Christmas Day, then I might start to maybe have the hand over the panic button a little bit. But 3 games in against the first game was against a very good defensive team. The second game was against a team that is definitely up and coming and is not an easy out. And then the third game was against guys like Tyrese Maxey, who are very good defensive players. So it's not like he just got the easy games right out the gate.
Embiid was in question on whether or not he would play in the second of a back-to-back. 35 points, 15 boards, 7 assists.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And it's like I told you last night, Chad. Like, yes, Damian Lillard came into the league and was good from day one. He also had a legit all-star on that roster, a guy who was the best power forward in the league for a moment, right? So he had guys to lean on. And a roster, when you look back, right, with the Nick Batums and the Wesley Matthews, like the team was stacked, right? Very easy for a nice rookie point guard to come in and feel comfortable and acclimate very quickly. Harder for a guy to find his groove, make good passes, and figure out what's going on when he's playing with a sophomore at shooting guard. I know this is a college term, but still, you guys get what I'm laying down. Matisse Thybulle, who's not an offensive guy. Jeremy Grant, who's struggling out of the gate. And DeAndre Ayton, who is definitely trying to figure out where he stands on this thing, too. Everybody's trying to learn, not just Scoot.
I'm with you on that, 100%. All right, let's keep things rolling here on Game Day. We'll come back, and I want to hear from Jabari Walker coming off the loss in Philly. He played with great energy. He and Kamara were pleasant surprises off the bench yesterday. 2 of those guys we're talking about when we discuss incremental growth that we're looking for as we watch these games. Tip-off's coming up at 4:30, Blazers and Raptors from Toronto here on 620 Rip City Radio.
November is a great time to get a new TV. Now that the top-rated brands like Samsung, LG, and Sony are at the lowest prices of the year. With Black Friday deals available, what more could you want? How about better than Black Friday? Before you click, you should call Video Only to see how you can go lower than Black Friday. That's right, the best TVs at better prices. Check out Video Only before you buy, or you'll be sorry.
I think you can hear me now. And then I can go over here. They're getting the full background, right? There you go. Hi.
Hey.
Hi, YouTube. I'm teaching these guys everything. They're like, oh, you can talk to YouTube during the break? I'm like, heck yeah, you can talk to YouTube during the break. That Sue chimed in saying letting go of Dame was the worst thing she's ever seen. It was pretty rough.
The win streak starts today.
Yeah, we're going to get through this. We're going to get through this together. That's the best part about this. Like, yeah, the team's going to take their lumps, but the Game Day 5th quarter crew and eventually the Rip City Drive crew,
How good are
We're
the
gonna get
Spurs
through this.
doing right now?
we're going to get through this.
They tanked last year. How good are they doing right now?
Wemby's pretty awesome.
Just 1 game ahead of the Blazers.
Yeah. So there you go. So you can go talk to him during the break. You guys are awesome. We'll be back. Chad will be back in about 90 seconds.
Yes, this is Dr. Smith.
Doctor, my wife is having an emergency.
Oh, no.
She says her diamond doesn't look as big as it used to.
I think it's shrinking!
Well, there's an easy cure for that. Go to Morgan Jewelers.
Of course!
You can trade in your smaller diamond, and they upgrade you to a bigger, better diamond.
Wow.
Oh, thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
We're off to Morgan Jewelers. Stat.
Shrinking diamond syndrome? Come to Morgan Jewelers.
MorganJewelers.com.
Now, back to Blazers Game Day, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light, made to chill.
All right, we were talking about incremental growth and some of the things you need to look for with a team that's in a full rebuild and is not focusing on wins and losses right now. This is all about player development, and two of those guys were Tamani Kamara, and we heard Billups discuss Kamara and his effort and the way he is, putting pressure on coaches to find ways to get him on the floor, which is great. Love the energy, and his fight defensively, even in the game yesterday, was impressive. I like to see that. Another one of those guys is Jabari Walker, who plays hard. He's got that youthful energy, and I like his attitude. And he put a lot of time in during the offseason on his game. So, I can tell you one thing. It's not going to be a lack of effort that prevents Jabari from doing anything. But let's take a listen to him. He finished with 12 points. He was very active yesterday. And I know a lot of you Blazer fans like him, but he played just about 24 minutes, but he made his presence felt. 12 points, 7 rebounds, and had a block shot. So he's out there doing a lot of different things. 1 assist. He's just one of those guys that's going to make things happen. And it's good. Let's take a listen to Jabari. I love this guy.
Yeah, I thought we played really well in the first half, executed. If we would have played that way the whole game, I think it would have been different. We just got to go back and watch film, see where the fall off was and where we let off the gas pedal.
Dealing with Embiid, obviously, a difficult task. How are you guys able to deal with that tonight? Obviously, had quite a good game.
Yeah, it's tough. I think, the first shot, we did good contesting at times. It was just he got his own rebound. He got other people's rebounds at time, and then the fouls, the and ones, and that just gave him momentum. And it's hard to stop him.
What do you think about your game tonight? Obviously, you mentioned 4 steals, rebounds, 12 points. Kind of filled up the stat sheet today a bit.
Yeah, just grateful to be out there. I put a lot of work in this summer to be in this position. Just got to continue to prove that I can impact, and that's what you saw out there.
I know, obviously, you're trying to help the team win, but I get the sense that part of it is, like you mentioned, trying to earn some minutes and show you do belong out there.
Yeah, I mean, I came back this summer with my body changed, with my mind changed, and I knew opportunities like this would come about, and I think I did a good job proving to them this summer. They loved how much I improved, but it doesn't stop there. As you see, first game of the season, I didn't play, so it just goes to show that when people think you have a spot earned or you're in such a good position, or in this league, I'm learning that it can go either way. We have very talented guys who deserve minutes as well, so doesn't make me special. I just have to go out there and show what does make me special and what keeps me on the floor.
So it seems like you've kind of learned that you can't get comfortable, I guess.
In the process, in the second year, I thought that, Yeah, I'll let you in on what I'll let you in what I thought. Thought like you put the work in the summer, and then it's just kind of designated to like who puts the work in the summer, blah blah. And I kind of thought that there was certain times that I would be in and blah blah blah, but I'm still learning that those have to be earned throughout the year, especially being a young guy. They can be given and taken away whenever. So I don't want to take that for granted. I don't want to take men for granted. Just want to stay on the narrow, stay young, stay energetic, and it'll come to me.
So you guys going to Toronto tonight, still looking for that first win. What do you need to do to maybe get a chance to go out there and get that first win?
Yeah, I think we need to come out how we did today. And then Skyler, he came in here and he just mentioned swagger. He said we got to play with some swagger. Just continue to have fun with it. We did a good job talking on the bench. I think that helped us in the first half. I think we got to keep that up in the second half and just do the things that are in our game plan. I think we'll be fine.
There you go, Jabari Walker. Love his attitude and his approach, the energy that he plays with. And, as coaches talked about, and I think he's dead on with this team right now, in order for them to remain, competitive or to be competitive in games and put themselves in a position to win that first game, they're going to need guys like Jabari and Tamani to scrap. And that's the word that Nate McMillan liked to use all the time, was scrap. But that's what this group is going to have to do. They got to scrap and fight and stay on top of it. And so you're going to need energy like that, quality minutes from guys like that off the bench. And, the reason why the emergence of Jabari is needed right now is because they're very thin at forward, obviously. I mean, after Jeremy Grant, it's a little bit, but if if you get emergence from guys like Kamara and Jabari, it's going to, make things a lot easier on this group. And it's always nice to have guys on the floor that are willing to do some of the little things that other guys don't want any part of, right? So we'll see how things continue to progress. But great young man, love his work ethic, and like Tamani, he's just going to work his tail off, and the coaches are going to be forced to find ways to get them into games because of how hard they play. Sometimes in life, you may not be the best at what you do. You may not be the most talented, but through dedication and hard work and just continuing to show up each and every day with that type of approach and attitude, you're going to make your own way. And you can have a great NBA career without being a star because you understand your role, you know how to impact your team and what they're trying to accomplish. And I wish more guys in the league would understand that instead of focusing on, their touches or showcasing this or that. No, understand what your team needs from you and then perfect that role and play hard. And if you do that, you can carve out a nice long career in the NBA. There's no question about it. But a lot of guys, they miss that point. All right, we'll come back on game day, and when we do, we'll give you the Coors Light cold hard facts, and then we're going to hear from Malcolm Brogdon, who is, I think, a terrific example for a lot of the youngsters on this team. I really like him. I feel bad for him and Robert Williams being jettisoned off to Portland after being on a contender in Boston, but Malcolm Brogdon he's a pro's pro. So we'll hear from him after the Coors Light Cold Hard Facts. We'll give our keys to the game coming up before the end of the show. Tip-off's coming up at 4:30. It's Blazers Game Day with you until 3:30 here on 620 Rip City Radio.
Us just running tests.
All right, time for your Coors Light cold hard facts. Number 1, 3 games is not a sample size, and 3 games is not enough of a sample to tell me anything about Scoot other than he has struggled in his first 3 games. It's going to take some time. He will figure it out. He's on a new team, a young roster, and no continuity. He's not set up to come out and get off to a red-hot start. It's okay. But we will see flashes of brilliance as the season continues. And once the game slows down in his mind with what he's seeing, he'll start to find those passing lanes and set up his teammates. I'm not worried about Scoot at all, and you shouldn't be either. Next up, Tamani Kamara is going to continue to command more playing time. I saw his effort last night. He's a unique guy, a willing defender, and he just does all the little things that coaches love, and he busts his tail in practice. And when you do that as a young player, especially on a team that needs energy and scrap, you're going to find a way to play. Tamani Kamara will continue to get on the floor with his effort. Also, until further notice, the Denver Nuggets are the best team in the NBA. I know this because I don't want to admit it, all right? I don't like the Nuggets. I don't like their coach. They annoy me. But the facts are the facts. They're the defending champs. Jokic is arguably the best player on the planet, and that's a team that knows each other. They do have continuity, and they understand their roles, and Jokic is on a mission right now. And I think Michael Malone, as Burkhardt pointed out yesterday, has motivated his team by letting them know how much everyone thinks that they're a joke, and last year was just a one-off. And the best way to shut everyone up is to go out there and go back-to-back. And on a side note, BK, Have It Your Way is the worst jingle on television right now. And these games are loaded with the commercial. And it's going to drive me crazy. And it's clearly working because once you hear it, you cannot get it out of your head. Ugh. All right, your Coors Light cold hard facts. All right, Malcolm Brogdon, 18 points yesterday. He's off to a great start with the Trailblazers. I love his demeanor, his leadership, and the example he sets for some of the guys on the roster. This guy's money. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
Yeah, I thought we, down the stretch, especially, the first 5-6 minutes of the second half, third quarter, we weren't getting the stops we needed. They went on a run. That's a really good team. They're a contending team, so they're going to go on our runs, and we just have to learn how to be resilient. I thought we actually got off to a really good start. I thought we showed, some maturity to start the game off the right way, and definitely took a step forward, which is, I think, the most important thing for us right now is taking steps forward every night. But it's starting both halves the right way. And we have to get into that mindset. It's not just the first 4 minutes of the first quarter. It's not just the first 4 minutes of the second quarter. We got to play a full 48. And that's what the great teams do. That's what the really good teams do. So we got to get there.
Chauncey mentioned it seemed like right when the second game came in, when you came in, basically the game kind of turned and you guys were able to get some rhythm going. Can you talk about just that second game and the cohesion you guys have built? And I know you're kind of back and forth with the first unit as well, so you're kind of that through line almost between those two lineups.
Yeah, I think we had, I think Tua, I think Jabari, I thought they were great tonight, being aggressive, being unselfish. And I thought the second group, and I thought the first group did too, but I thought the second group played the right way tonight. Granted, we're not playing against Philly's first group, so I think we got a little bit of an advantage. I thought we played good ball. I thought we played together. I thought we just played hard on both ends of the floor, and it worked for us tonight in the second unit.
You talk about kind of just building and making progress, even if it's not resulting in wins right away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how is it difficult to kind of keep up that? I mean, it's still early, but that spirit of knowing that like we might have to take some L's here to try to get better as we grow.
Look, we all want to win. I think I want to win as much or more than anybody. Chauncey wants to win. He's a champion, but. You got to understand the situation you're in. You got to understand the youth of your group and the inexperience. And you got to be realistic about where you are and what progress looks like for you. And progress might not be coming to Philly and beating a team that made it to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. But progress is cleaning up a lot of the mistakes that we made last game and doing it right this game. And right now we got to take the incremental steps and incremental progress. And I think we're doing that. I think we're improving.
And in that regard, what do maybe you guys need to do tomorrow night versus the Raptors to maybe get that first round?
I think we need to get off to another good start. I thought we did that tonight. I think we need to do that again. But I think we need to maintain it. And I think we need to, I said to one of the assistants tonight, I think we got to stick to what makes sense as far as the players, not the coaches. when we have something that's going, I think we need to stick to that and keep running it, keep exploiting that weakness in the defense. And I think because we have young guys, and I think we're just a little inexperienced, I think we get away from is working sometimes, and make errors, make young mistakes. But that's going to be on the vets. That's going to be on me. Keeping the guys together, keeping us focused on what's working for us, and keep pushing forward.
All right, Burkhardt, there is Malcolm Brogdon. It'd be very easy for a vet like him who got shipped over from a legit contender in Boston to Portland and just kind of bide his time. But listen to that guy. Like, his focus, his mentality, like, I don't think you could ask for a better vet than that guy. And I can tell you one thing, the more I learn about him, the more I hear him, there is obviously going to be some contenders down the road who are going to want a piece of Brogdon. What a valuable guy he is.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be people who want him. It's funny that you talk about how he looks when he's on the floor, because the team shared a highlight the other day of like a Jabari Walker 3, and I honestly thought that they messed up and played an old highlight, because I thought it was Dame at first who passed it to him. And not saying Malcolm looks like Dame, but you can tell the difference between he and Scoot and the rest just because he looks just poised and he knows what he's doing. And then, I've had some people ask me about this, Chad, because they're like, is this common? Is it weird? Because Brogdon's been asked about Scoot and how he would coach him. How do you approach a guy with his talent? And I was like, I like that people have asked him about that, because then you get answers similar to what you just played. Like, you can tell that he is a student of the game, like that he takes it all seriously. And when you say vet leadership, that's kind of the guy that you have in your head, right? Is the way he talks, the way he mentors, and the way he has a very good perspective on what this team is. And I like that, which sucks that he's probably not long for the Blazer uniform. But you're right. There's going to be contenders after that guy.
Someone hit me up, and once I thought about it and then I saw him up close, I was like, yep, he's Andre Miller 2.0. That's what he looks like. You do a side-by-side between him and Andre, they look like the same dude.
That makes sense. He throws me off, though. He's got a deep voice. He sounds like Chris Murray. I guess the other way around, since Chris Murray's the young guy, but still.
I like it. Yeah, he's good. That's a coach's dream right there. That type of attitude, that type of an approach, and the way he plays. Like, that's a pro's pro. He's like, yeah, okay, I'm in Portland. I'm going to go out there and do my job to the best of my abilities. Not a lot of guys, they get dealt to a team or a situation that's not ideal in their mind. They're like, I'm out. I don't need this.
No, you had it here in Portland, man. Aaron Aflalo. He did not want to be in Portland when he got traded here, and he made it well known that he didn't want to be here.
That was a mess.
A mess.
It's too bad Wes Matthews got hurt that year. That's a story that's been told in a variety of different ways in Portland. It's too bad that this guy didn't go down.
Yes. Thanks for bringing it up.
I know. All right. So props to Malcolm Brogdon. Really like him, and it's nice to have a guy like that who provides sound leadership for the youngsters to learn how to operate in the NBA. Because trust me, a lot of guys, if you're in Boston and you're competing for a championship, and all of a sudden you wake up and you find out on Twitter that you've been dealt to Portland, you're like, wait, what? They don't have Dame. Why am I being dealt there? But to show up and just embrace your role, for as long as you're going to be here and put your best in, I love that. Much respect. Not every player does that. A lot of guys would almost refuse to show up, but that's not Malcolm Brogdon. That's a pro's pro, and he's a valuable piece. And, for as long as he's here, some of the youngsters are going to learn some valuable lessons from him. Okay, we'll come back, and we'll get to our keys to the game. Tip-off's coming up at 4:30. At 3:30, the Trailblazer pregame show will take over and get you set. We got a busy sports weekend heading into tonight, where we got the World Series continuing, and we got Monday Night Football with the Raiders and the Lions. And you can join Chris and I following the game tonight, fifth quarter here on 620, and also live streaming on YouTube. All right, the Trailblazers looking for their first win. I've got a simple key tonight. We know that the Raptors' wings are very good. They're a long team, and it's going to create some issues for the Blazers on the perimeter. So I think tonight would be a good night to really look to get the ball into DeAndre Ayton and let him work a little bit. He's very skilled on the block. He can face up and shoot. I would look to get Ayton involved early and often to create some consistency on offense and take some of the pressure off the rest of the guys. So go to Ayton, feed him, and let's see what they can do. And hopefully, keep it close going into the fourth quarter and put yourself in a position to strike. All right, Burkhardt, you got any keys in terms of what you're looking for tonight?
Shoot orange orb through white net. Make bucket, get points.
Yeah. 38% shooting and 7 of 31 from downtown, not going to cut it. Make shots. It's a pretty simple game.
Yeah, it's so simple. So simple.
All right, let's go out to the phones. I think we've got my man Raider Mike out there somewhere. Let's check in. Raider Mike, what's up, brother?
It's been a while, man.
I know. Good to hear your voice.
Good to hear yours, too. I'm out in Deliverance country. I mean, everywhere. They're dirt roads, dude. It's a shanty town. There's a guy out there standing there looking at me with an axe in his hand like he's going to kill me. It's just weird here. A place called Jasper, Florida.
Jasper, Florida.
Jasper, Florida. J-E.
Jasper.
But, yeah, it's right on the Suwannee River. You know that song? That weird song? Way down upon the Suwannee,
Yeah.
It's right on that river. Anyway, I finally have bars so I can talk to you. Thank you for taking the Muppet King's head off. I rarely root for your team, but I thoroughly enjoyed you guys. And you dominated them. That was very, very cool. Loved it.
That did make me feel very good, I'm not going to lie. It was quite enjoyable to sit back and watch the Broncos defense dominate the Muppet King, hold him to 9 points, no touchdowns, and scoreless in the second half. Fabulous. Fabulous Sunday afternoon.
And I think it's the shape of things to come unless they do something at receiver. Because Kelsey can't do everything. Their receivers can't catch the ball. The downfall of the Muppet King will be awesome to behold if it actually happens. So, kind of pumped about that. Tonight, I'm almost want to lose so we can pull McDaniel's head down Vegas Boulevard. I cannot stand that guy.
He's an idiot.
Raider Nation calling for his head. And why do you have a come to Jesus meeting with your team in week 8? It's a little late for that, Josh. You're like horrifying as a coach. I almost want to bring Bisaccia back and kick that idiot down to OC because he probably can do that job. He's proved he can do that job. But head coach, you failed twice on 2 marquee franchises like the Raiders. You're not going to get another shot. You're just not. So send him back packing to Billy Boy and let him take over the Patriots and screw that team up too. That would be epic if that happened. I have not watched the Blazers yet. It's just hard to because of my work right now. But I'm listening to you guys. So it's just going to be another year where I'm not going to watch any games anyway, like the past 2. It's just painful. It's almost as painful as my Raiders in A. So, like you said a few weeks ago, I am in sports hell. I have nothing. Nothing. Raiders, A's, Blazers all suck. So, it is what it is. Great to hear your voice. I'll call you when I can, brother.
Sounds good, man.
Go Blazers. Peace.
Yeah, I'm curious about the Suwannee River. Let's take a listen to this.
Way down upon the Suwannee River, far, far away, there's my heart is turning ever.
All right, that's enough of that. Sorry, Mike. Sorry that your teams suck and that you're stuck in Jesper, Florida, along the Suwannee River. And thank you. I did enjoy that yesterday. Ending that losing streak to the Chiefs was beautiful. All right, that's going to do it for Chris and I. Will be back after the basketball game tonight for the fifth quarter on YouTube streaming live and here on 620 Rip City Radio. Tip-off's coming up at 4:30. Mike Lynch standing by with your Trailblazer pregame show. All right, thank you for your time. We'll talk to you later on this evening. Enjoy all the sports.